Welcome to the Expansive CEO podcast. I'm your host, Hannah Chapman, founder of Expansive CEO and X Squared Wealth Planning. Buckle in as we explore how to create true prosperity and build a business and a life that expands beyond yourself and makes a dent in the universe. Welcome, everyone, to this episode of the Expansive CEO podcast. I am your host, Hannah Chapman, and my guest today is an absolutely incredible, vibrant person. I can't wait for you to meet her. Her name is Jill Stanton, and she describes herself as the entrepreneur's secret weapon, helping them unlock their personal power and elevate their identity so they can step into a new era of wild growth, freedom, and success. And Jill, we are going to talk all about what that means to unlock your personal power today, some of the ways that you help people do that, and how anyone listening can start to what are the steps? What do we start looking at to unlock that personal power? So thank you so much for being here with me today. I would absolutely love it if you would introduce yourself. Who are you? Where are you in the world? And what have you been doing? How did you get here?
Well, first off, thank you so much for having me. I'm going to try and keep it short because I'm always tempted to be like, it started back in 2006, but kind of true, actually. So that's where I had started my first ever venture into the online space. But really, this version of me started only like a couple years ago, as I went through my own metamorphosis of peeling back the layers of my own bullshit, my own limits that I had just subscribed to or assigned to myself for no real good reason, truthfully. And that looked like me operating from a place of fear, doubt, insecurity, a strong ass belief I wasn't smart, which held me back for a long ass time. And really starting to peel that back for myself because I was just waking up anxious all the time. I wasn't really going for it. I really deep down knew that I was meant for something bigger, but I just was constantly in my own way. So my journey really starts back when my husband and I first started our first business together. This is back in 2011. And then we started another business called Screw the 9 to 5. And that really started our momentum in this space. We had Screw the 9 to 5 for 10-ish years. Then I started Millionaire Girls Club. And now I have this Jill Stanton brand, which I really believe is honestly like a shining example for myself, at least, of what you can do when you start to peel back the self-imposed limits, the conditions you've set for yourself. And when you're operating just from a place that isn't your truest, highest, most brightest self. I had a crushing fear of judgment, which caused me to just hide. And when I wasn't hiding, I was loud and performative, and really allowing myself to strip that back, even though it felt painful as hell, is truly why I believe that I have this business now talking about this kind of stuff, because it's changed my whole life.
So good. And I want to call back to our conversation that we had last week. Actually, you had mentioned, and something that you just said in your intro there, you had mentioned holding this belief that you're not smart, that you no, my husband is the smart one. I'm the people person, right? I'm the one getting all the energy going. The connector. Yeah. And so I would love if you would talk a little bit about when it comes to unleashing your personal power and unlocking that, how did that work for you? What was that shift from, I'm not the smart one, talk to him, he's the technical guy, to oh, I'm also amazing and I can do all of these things on my own as well?
Well, this really started having my son was a catalyst moment for me. And I know to anyone who's not a mom, that probably sounds like, oh, okay, we get it. You love your kid. But but it's true. Before I became a mom, before I gave birth to him, I operated I just didn't even have boundaries. I was going to say I had bad boundaries. I had zero boundaries. I just didn't even know to set them almost like it's crazy to say that because now I've done so much work to be on the other side of that. It's like, I don't even recognize myself, but having my son, just like the second I walk through that portal, that is like the identity shift of motherhood. It's like all the fucks I used to give just like started dropping away. But what really happened is I started being called to exploring my own stuff. Like, why do I not feel how I want to feel? Like, why don't I feel more confident? Why do I not believe I'm smart? Why am I at the mercy of money and like all these scarcity, lack-based thoughts? Like, it was just starting to eat at me. And it's like, I could no longer numb it, ignore it, like push it down. It was just starting to come up for me, which now I realized was beautifully in service. I was being called to another level of myself. But at that time, it was very destabilizing because I
Right.
had just had a kid. Plus, with having my son, Josh and I then went through this big awareness moment where we're like, wait a second, why does our business no longer feel aligned? Like, it was just like I don't know, like the lights had turned on or something, and we couldn't unsee what we now could see. And it was that we had just abandoned our own boundaries, our own priorities, our own standards in service of pleasing our customers, our audience, our members inside our membership site, and all of this kind of stuff. And so that really started my work for myself. That was 2018, but I still operated under a belief that I wasn't smart until 2020, when I was just like, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just try something. But so, like, I say that because it was still a 2-year process of me, like, consuming all the books, going through the process, like doing my own work before I even had the courage to be like, maybe I could teach my own thing. Now, I'm not saying it has to be a 2-year process before you start to unwind this stuff for yourself. But at the beginning, my first focus was money, because that felt like the most emotionally charged thing for me. And I couldn't shake this like ever present fear that we were going to run out of money, which is funny because we were doing really well in our business. But no matter what, it just felt like it was never enough for me. I had this like constant energy of scarcity that was just wrapped up in money for me. And so that's where I started. And then that, I mean, I always say to really anyone who will listen to me, the work of personal power is like the work of an onion. Like, you're just constantly peeling back layers of yourself. And once you heal one thing, you're like, oh, lovely, a new thing. And so it's just always peeling back, healing, processing, and releasing these new levels of your own self limits, your own fear, your own doubt, your own insecurity, your own lack of power. And so as I healed the money stuff, then came in the like, I'm not smart stuff. And that really was quite possibly even bigger for me than money, because I never really realized before that how many areas of my life that touched. Like, it
Wow.
touched every area of my life for me to believe I'm not smart. And that was kind of like formed during my like upbringing and whatnot, not maliciously by my parents, but my sister is like really smart, like high 90s in school without trying in physics kind of shit, like she's like hyper smart. And so our parents called us, this is like such a 90s and 80s kid throwback, but called us Pinky and the Brain from Animaniacs.
Yep.
And my sister was obviously the brain. So like, who was I? I was the dickhead who's Pinky, And so I know they didn't mean it maliciously. Like, now when they hear that story, they're like, oh my God, Jill, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
But like, it was never malicious, but I took it and ran with it. It's like, I'm the dumb one, not just the dumb one. I'm the entertaining one. That was the main
Yeah.
thing. I'm the entertaining one. And so then Josh is the smart one. I'm the entertaining one. I'm the comic relief. Like, if you were to go through any of our offers from back in Screw the 9 to 5, maybe pre-2020, there are so many instances where I'm saying like, well, Josh is the smart one. I'm the entertaining one. I'm the
Mm.
pimp of the brand. Josh is the coach. Josh is the teacher. I'm the community. I'm the connector. And I just put all these limits on myself. And so as you start doing this work, it just becomes so clear for you, the stuff you say about yourself to yourself and
Mm.
how that impacts how you show up, the moves you make in your business, the money you make, how you lead your team, like the opportunities you pursue. It just, it has its grips in like almost every facet of your life once you start doing this work. And while that might sound heavy, I'm like, gear up. We're going to go unhook from every fear and condition you've ever set for yourself. What I mean is like slowly but surely that stuff starts to soften once you become aware of it. Awareness is the first step to it. Or to like quote Dr. Phil, it's like you can't change what you don't acknowledge. And so
Mhm.
really doing the work of becoming aware of where you've been setting limits for yourself, where you've been operating out of doubt, fear, and insecurity, that's the first step to change. And then everything outside of that is like this waterfall moment where it's like the snowball starts to roll and you become hyper aware of like where you might be limiting yourself, which at the time might seem, destabilizing, but on the other side of it is just so much magic.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, thank you for sharing that story. As far as like the money stuff coming first and noticing um exactly what you said of like, hey, it actually doesn't matter how much money you make if you're in a scarcity mindset and like body of
Yes.
feeling, right? Like if you feel triggered and your nervous system is going crazy every time, there's any question of money, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much money you
Yeah.
make. It will always feel like not enough.
Always.
I
Always.
mean,
And it
there,
just feels so triggering for a
right.
lot of entrepreneurs too, because
Yes.
it's us who are like on the line.
Exactly, exactly. You are, you know, when you're an entrepreneur, you create your income. And so
Mhm.
I absolutely like in the work that I do, that's why I always focus on the emotions, how you're feeling about money. Um, because if your nervous system is not regulated around it, right, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how much you
Yeah.
make. It doesn't matter how much you have in the bank. You're always going to be stressed out about money. Um, but then leading into, I love the way that you said, you have to have the awareness first, and then you can soften around it. We can't heal what we don't see.
Mhm.
And on the
Yes.
other side, I can't remember who said this, but I've heard it a million times and I love it. There's, what you resist persists, and
Mhm.
what you look at disappears. And so it's like this like reminder that it doesn't have to be hard work all the time to heal. I feel like when we first start seeing things like those first ones, I know for me too, it was the same. Like when I first started really allowing myself to see myself and see the places that I didn't like or didn't, like, oh my gosh, I didn't know this was here. I didn't know this was going to be so hard.
Mhm.
Those first awarenesses were like devastatingly
Yeah.
hard to look at, right? Like I like Dark Night of the Soul, like screaming
Yeah.
into a
Scream
pillow and
crying.
right, yeah, just like crying and screaming and um really, really emotionally going through it. And over the years, the more that I can see, like when something else comes up, I'm like, oh, well, look at you. That's interesting,
Yeah.
right? It doesn't feel
Isn't it
as
funny? You get
devastating.
more desensitized to it. Yes. Yes. It doesn't feel as devastating. I think a lot of people resist the work because they don't want to feel the sadness, the fear, the crying, the screaming, the anxiety. Like I get it. I remember so many times I've talked to so many women over my like years of just in business in general, but now doing a lot of personal power coaching is like they resist the feelings of doing the work because they associate the feelings of doing the work with bad.
Yeah.
Like if I'm sad or if I'm anxious or if I'm scared or if I'm crying or if I'm screaming, that's bad. Like I'm weak. And it's like, no, homie. It's like the strongest thing you could do. The
Yeah.
weak, being weak is not doing it. The weakness is in avoiding the work. The
In numbing.
strength and the fortitude is found in doing the work. That is where you anchor into your power. That is where you become a true leader. That is where you go to a whole new level of yourself, is when you are willing to have the fucking courage to do the work.
Yeah.
It's the courage to do the work, to lean into it, to feel the feelings, to move them through your body. That is where I think at least you start to build a whole new level of self-trust, self-belief, and a whole new opinion of yourself because you fucking trust yourself to go through it.
Yes. 100%. Absolutely.
I also should have asked if I'm allowed to swear on this
Oh yeah,
podcast. I feel like I just
have
made
at
so much work for you because I get fired up and then I'm like, let's go. And
All good. All good. We'll put a disclaimer. Um, no worries at
might be
all.
needed.
Yeah, I seriously, I mean, like I feel that in my soul because
Mhm.
the the more that the more that I am able to see and meet myself, right? The deeper I allow myself to meet myself, the easier it is to hold space and have compassion for
Yes.
others and also hold boundaries, right? When you're talking about
Yes.
boundaries before, it's like I can see, hold space, love, have compassion for people in such a deeper way. And also I can say this is where my boundaries are and I am okay with that. Like if this
Yeah.
doesn't work for you, that's fine. That's great.
Well, and you also get to see, you can spot their projections so much more.
Yes.
You could be like, oh, that's not about me. That's
Right.
about them, which then
Right.
allows you to have some compassion.
Exactly. Because you're not people pleasing, right? Which is
Yeah.
kind of the main point of like taking other people's stuff on. A lot of that is
Mhm.
people pleasing. Like, oh, I have to do something about this. This person is upset. I have to fix it. I have to be the hero. I have to swoop in. I have to rescue. I have to whatever. No.
And I think a lot of people pleasing is actually, some people get frustrated with me when I say this, when I'm like, you're an emotional manipulator.
Yes.
But truly,
Yes.
like,
People
people
pleasers are
pleasing
liars.
is it, yes. Okay. So this was a big piece for me because I used to people please like a motherfucker, like
Right.
a lot, specifically in my family. And then also with like clients who were either needy or, miffed about something. I would like abandon myself in service of trying to make them happy. But
Yeah.
what I realized is people pleasing is just you trying to control what other people think, say, or believe about you. And
Yeah.
when you look at it like that, it's actually an energy of manipulation
Yes.
versus allowing yourself to be seen and allowing yourself to disappoint people and allowing yourself to, like, quote unquote, not get it right in service of authenticity, in service of you being yourself, in service of protecting your energy, in service of you being truly yourself with your standards and your boundaries and what you believe and what you know to be true for yourself. I think when you can really see people pleasing through that energy, people would be more cognizant of how it shows up for them or how they display it.
Yes. 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 And when I said people pleasers are liars, that's not that can be super triggering as well. It's like
Yeah,
because
for sure.
you're lying to people about what you actually feel. Like
Yes.
that's it. You're like the manipulation comes in, like you said, when you are trying to manage what other people are going to experience, right?
Yes.
You're not giving them the truth. So if you're holding back, if you're not saying something that you need to say, or if you saying things that you don't believe to keep other people happy, then that's lying.
Um,
And people don't want to
and
see
it's
themselves
so,
that way.
well, I love that you pointed out and say it as clearly as that, because if that lands for someone, then they can start to spot it in their lives. So this is where I think, like, when we're talking about awareness being the first step to, or the first domino to change, it's like you also have to know what you're building awareness around.
Hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
And I think if that lands for someone is like people pleasing is lying, then they can start to spot that in their life, which is where the real shifts start to happen. Because when you can identify yourself in the pattern of it or on the other side of it, and you're like, oh, that was one of them, then you can start to see it. And when you can see it in your life, then this is where you can start to change it. So I talk about this process a lot in my own stuff or with my clients, and I've been doing this for myself since, like, I don't know, since minimum 2019, but I call it catch, cancel, correct.
Mm.
And so it's similar to what we're talking about here. It's when you are, so this is why awareness matters, right? So you build awareness around what you are no longer available for, or what you no longer want to be doing, or what you no longer want to be thinking, feeling, operating as, that kind of stuff, right? So you build awareness around that. And so that typically looks like a certain track in your head. For example, with me, it's like, I'm not smart, right? Like I'm the entertaining one. So I had to build awareness around that in my own life so I could spot it when it came up for me. So
Okay.
when I could make a decision from that place, I would spot it. And for myself, I'd be like, catch. And then what you do there is you're like, cancel. Now, if you're a weirdo like me, you will say cancel out loud. Like if you're committed, you'll say it out loud. Now, this was very useful for me with money and with my own personal opinion of myself, but specifically with money, it's really easy to catch once you start building awareness around it, because I guarantee you, if you have any funkiness around money or scarcity around money, that shit is going to come up for you multiple times a day.
Yeah.
And so as you catch it, then you could be like, cancel. Like I would be in the grocery store being like, cancel, 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 like looking at soup, like cancel, 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 just until I corrected the thought, like I interrupted it for myself. And then the third part of that is, so you catch the thought that you don't want to be thinking anymore. You say cancel out loud or in your head if you're not a weirdo like me. And then the final piece is to correct it with what you want to believe. And so that if you can create that habit for yourself and really like integrate it into your life, because it's one thing to say, I'm going to fix my money beliefs. It's a whole other thing to do it. It is a whole other thing to actually walk that talk and integrate a process into your life. And I think that's where a lot of people drop the ball, because they're like, yeah, I want to feel better about money. But then they're like, I don't want to do that every day. And I'm like, bro, which one do you want? Like
Right.
one keeps you small and dimming your power, and the other one opens up a whole new world for you. So like, yes, there's some integration and embodiment pieces there, and it's worth it. And so finding a process for yourself that works is like, for example, when I was doing this for myself around money, it would be like catch, cancel. And then my correction would be, I always find a way to win. Or I'm the type of chick who always gets what she wants. And I love that one. I'm the type of chick who gets everything she wants. I love that one because it goes both ways. If I'm getting something in my life that I actually do not want, well, then I can look at that and be like, where was my focus off? Like, what was I actually focused on there? Was I focused on having it, or was I focused on what might happen if I don't get it? Or what might not happen, or what happens, what will people think of me if, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think a lot of us stew in that piece of it, thinking that we're focusing on the good side of it, but we're actually focusing on the like disempowered side of it. So, that's why I love get anything you want, or get everything you want, because on the flip side of when shit is going well, you're like, exactly. Cause I'm the type of chick who gets everything she wants. Right.
Yeah.
So it's useful in that you can apply it to both sides. Another one is I used to always repeat to myself is, in this moment, I am safe. I
Mm,
think that is such a clutch one when
yeah.
people are dealing with money scarcity, because that really triggers, like what you were saying with nervous system work. It really triggers the flight, fight, or freeze, right? Like you're just
Right.
like, ah, it is like basic survival triggers. And so in that moment, I would just say to myself, I would literally look around me and be like, in this moment, right now, I am fully safe.
Yeah.
Like I'm safe, I'm in my house, or I'm supported by money, or whatever it is. Like I'm good. I'm with my family. I'm safe. I'm in my bed, whatever it is. It's like in this moment, I'm safe. And that is a present moment action for you. It
Yeah.
brings you out of the like fear-based projections of anxiety in the future. And it brings you back to the present moment where you can anchor for yourself. Yes, I am safe. I'm good. I'm supported. I've got this. And you start to
Mhm.
calm yourself down. And that was just such a huge process in my own evolution.
Oh my gosh. That is reminding me of um another process that one of my mentors talked about that was so impactful for me. And
Share it.
yeah,
We all want to know.
I know it's so good. It's so good. And it's really along the lines of what you just said, that, in this present moment, I am safe. Um, she talks about sufficiency, right? A lot of times, because it's this dichotomy that you talked about before that I want to like expand on and like open up even more, is that when we're focused on I want to make $1 million this year. 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 What we are doing is actually like speaking to the fact that we don't have it.
Yes.
Right. Which is
Yes.
like oh shit, like how do I wait a second? I didn't mean what do you mean I'm doing the complete opposite of what I was
Like,
trying to do?
take back skis.
Right. Yeah. No, because you're focused on I don't have it yet. I don't have
Yes.
it. The scarcity is built in to the fact that I want this thing that I don't have. And I was like, hold on, wait, what? Like
Ugh.
when she first was talking to me about this, I was like, I can't, my brain can't wrap itself around that. I don't understand. Because it was like, I want to get this many more clients. I want to get this other thing. I am, all of these different pieces. And it was like, not happening, not happening, not happening. It's like, it's because we're doing the opposite. You know, okay, I am totally tripped up here. What do you mean? So what do we do instead of going straight for I'm a seven-figure business owner. I'm a seven-figure business owner. Okay, well, your nervous system again isn't matching that right now, right? So then you're also still
Mhm.
not creating that result that you want because you can't even feel it. You can't feel the realness of it.
Yes. Yes.
And
It
we
just
have
feels like I'm saying my mantras.
right, yeah, and your body's like,
Yeah.
no,
Nah.
no, we're not there yet. But instead, let's go right in the middle to sufficiency. And
Mm.
sufficiency says, in this moment, like you said, in this moment, I have everything that I need
Mhm.
and I'm available for more. In
Yes.
in this moment, I have like, oh my gosh, I have gotten this many clients this year. In this moment, I am having a phenomenal year and I'm available for more.
Yes.
Right? That puts you squarely in the like, oh, this is real. This is real. This is what I actually do have. This is what I actually have
Yes.
done. I feel so good about that and I'm available for more. And
Because there's
that
no wobble there.
there's no wobble
You're
there.
just telling yourself the truth.
Right. You are in the truth of whatever you're in. Even if let's say you do have a need for more income. Let's say like, oh shit, yeah, I do. I have to make a, $20,000 estimated tax payment or whatever it is coming up for you. And there is this sense of panic inside.
Hmm.
All right, well, let's talk about what's here right now. Let's actually because one thing, so on the actual data side, what I have found over and over, especially with entrepreneurs, is that we actually tend to create what I call manufactured scarcity. We need
Mm.
this amount of money. We need this amount per month. We need this to pay the, employees. We need whatever. And we'll create a system of how our money flows from, getting it in from clients or customers and then how it's positioned and then how it, gets, put into different accounts. We will create a feeling of scarcity by not having the money where we need it. And so I will have clients literally being like, I don't know, like I got these big bills coming up. I don't know how I'm going to pay for it. I'm like, okay, well, let's take a look. They've got twice as much money as they need sitting in
Yeah.
four different accounts.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, yeah, you're right. It is okay.
But it's like the energy of white knuckling that money.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, it's
It's
not
like the
in,
release of it that is like, that fucks with them.
yeah, it's not in the check. I want to see it in the checking account though. Like,
Yeah. You're like,
then
not
move
in
it
my
to
overflow account.
right? Then move it to the checking account. It's there. Like it is there for
Yeah.
you. You are not short. There's nothing wrong right now.
That's a
Right. And
powerful
so
moment for them.
yes, it is. It really truly is. And for people to like, yeah, okay, so you have an invoice that's out there that's going to get paid and it's going to be fine. The money is
Yeah.
flowing, the money is moving. You have what you need right now. We just move it from one account to the other. And when that invoice pays, you replenish your savings and it's fine. And they go, oh,
But they're like,
yeah.
Hannah, that's not fun.
I know,
I
such a
want it in the
downer.
checking account without moving it into the
I
checking account. God
right.
damn.
I just want more to appear there magically. Like, well,
But
it's
I love
coming.
that because it fosters a sense of safety and it fosters a or reinforces a belief of like, oh, I've got this.
Yeah.
Like, I think the energy of like, I trust myself with money is one of the most powerful statements. And I just want to quick go to the energy of want. I love that you brought this up because when this landed for me, I was just like, bruh, because I was the same. I was like, I want to make $1 million a year profit, and I want a blah, 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 blah. And I want a 5 bedroom luxury beach chic house with a sunset mountain and fucking ocean view. Like, I was just constantly like, I want this. I want this. I want this. I want this. And then when I actually read this in the book, A Happy Pocket Full of Money, which is the weirdest title, but is a fantastic book. And it's all around the energy of wanting is actually the energy of not having.
Right.
If you want something, you actually don't have it. And the energy of wanting is also an energy of inaction. Like, in order for you to get the thing you want, you then have to switch into an energy of doing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, if you've ever listened to T. Harv Eker's book, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind, he talks about this as well. And it's like the 3 stages of commitment. And so wanting is the first stage. Like, it's really easy to say you want something, right? It's like, I want $1 million. It's like, that's great. But that is also the energy of like just stewing in the not having of it.
Right.
Then there's choosing. That's the second stage of commitment, right? Because when you want something, you don't have it. And you can choose to just be like, I don't want that anymore. And it's like, it was too hard. So I don't want that anymore. And it keeps you in the energy because then you'll bop to the next thing. And it's like, then you'll be in the energy of wanting again. Then there's choosing. So like, I choose to go after this. So you're starting to like move into action, right? Because even with the most basic example, say that you like want a cheeseburger. Well, you can't just sit in like, I want cheeseburger. I want a cheeseburger. I want a
Right.
cheeseburger. I want a cheeseburger.
On your couch.
It's like, yeah, then you have to grab your phone and switch into a state of doing and order Uber Eats, right? And so there
Right.
has to be an energy switch into an energy of action and doing. So that's where choosing comes in. I choose to do this, but it's still wobbly energy because you can choose to not do it, right? It's still not full commitment. It's like the minute shit gets hard, people are going to quit.
Yeah.
It's like when we see people starting their own business. I choose to become an entrepreneur because I hate my boss. But the second shit gets harder, they take a few hits, they're like, oh, no, thank you. My boss has never looked better. Right. And so they choose to not go after it. And then there's commitment. And that is the people who are in it to win it. They will take the hits, they will do the work, they will keep showing up. They are in the energy of having.
Yeah.
They switch into an energy of having because they're committed to it, because they are the type of chick or dude who will do anything in service, or maybe not anything, but like, I'm the type of chick who does everything, gets anything she wants. It's like, that is the energy of commitment.
Mm.
I'm committed to being that version of myself. And so that looks like I'm going to have to do my own inner work. That looks like I'm going to have to take aligned action. That looks like I'm going to have to embody a sense of courage. You know what I mean? Like, it is a different energy than the energy of wanting. And so I love that you highlight that because I think a lot of us are told to like, figure out what you want and then go for it. But what people don't realize is the wanting is what actually keeps us in the state of inaction because we just obsess over it. It's like, I want this, I don't have it yet. I want this, I don't have it yet. I want this, I don't have it yet.
Yeah.
And that messes with us.
Yeah. Yes. And it's so different, like you're saying, to actually to choose. And the piece I thought that maybe this is where you were going, but I will add it in too. One of the most powerful things that I have done to get into this like present moment awareness of what do I have is gratitude, right? To
Mm.
be in gratitude. And actually in my it's looking, where did I put it? I put it somewhere close by. It's over here somewhere. But my gratitude journal that I write in, I try to write in every day. Some days I miss. But I try to write 10 things from the day that I'm grateful for. And I start with I am. at the top.
Hmm.
So I always write the date and then I am.
Present.
Yep, I am. And then list grateful for, so grateful for, so thankful for, like whatever those things are that are coming up for me um that day or the last couple of days. And the I am piece, right? That is like, oh yeah, I am. I'm so grateful I get to record this
Hmm.
podcast with Jill today. I'm so grateful I got to have a connection call with someone super awesome earlier today. I'm so grateful that I got to go out and exercise my right to vote today. Those are
Oh,
so true,
hell yeah.
right? Like, yes, hell yeah, I got to go vote today.
Very important right now.
I didn't get my sticker. Yeah, so this is we're recording this
Damn
before.
it, Hannah.
You
How's
know,
anyone on the gram supposed to know?
I know. Where's my sticker? I forgot it. So, but anyway, right? Like this, like being in that place of gratitude, I will then also sometimes add in those things, that future gratitude, things that I'm grateful for in the
Mm,
future as if they are here.
yes.
Because I am in the energy of I am grateful. I am grateful for these things that I have right now. And I'm grateful for the beautiful home that we will have when we move to Arizona. Right? Like
Yes.
that's the energy, right? It's like I am in gratitude and every once in a while I'll feel a little wiggle. If I do that and it doesn't feel quite aligned, I'm like, oop, I got to work on that one. I felt a
Yeah.
wiggle with that. Um, but the advanced gratitude I find actually like really works when I am grounded in gratitude for what's here.
Yeah, I
And
love that. Advanced gratitude, like future gratitude. It's almost like you're
yeah,
grateful for what she has achieved or is what she is doing. I
right.
feel like that's the timeline jump. When you're like, yes, you can absolutely do things you're grateful for now, of course. But I feel like there's a whole other level there when you start being grateful for the things she is experiencing,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you know? And even for like, I'm so grateful for the $1 million I paid in tax this year. You know, like, even though that sounds like I would not be grateful for that. But when
Right.
you think about it, it's like you have to be earning a stupid amount of money to be able to pay a
Yes.
million dollars in tax. You know what I mean? So that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And maybe a tax one isn't the best, but since I'm talking to a finance professional,
Right.
I feel like
Right.
it lines up. It feels very on brand. um, and then also what I love about the I am work is that is straight identity work.
Yeah.
Like your identity is anything that comes after I am.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so what you're anchoring in is like, I am a person, I am a grateful person. I
Yeah.
am the type of chick who like basks in the abundance of her life.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I just love that because it reinforces that for yourself. So then, because when you have an identity of something, the action becomes natural.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm a grateful person. So of course I would write down what I'm grateful for because I'm the type of chick who's super grateful for everything she has in her life. And I just get to keep experiencing more.
Yeah.
That's
What if,
that I think is like the power of identity work is like when you anchor new identities for yourself, the actions that are associated with that version of you become automatic because that's just who you are now. It's
yeah.
like no longer force or effort or performative or anything like that. It just is. It's just like, well, that's who I am.
Yes.
I'm radically grateful,
Yes.
or I have a
And
practice of radical gratitude.
yes. And I noticed this, the actual like scenario is eluding me at the moment. But I have had several of these moments now where something that I had been working on for a while, I'm going to bring it back to what you were talking about at the beginning. You know, it took 2 years for you, right, to go from I'm shifting, I'm making the shift, and now I feel like I'm the woman who is, teaching this to others.
Mhm.
In that time, you're practicing, right? You're like,
Yes.
and so what I noticed about unlocking my personal power, it starts from the awareness, it starts from the catch. I love that you have that framework for that. You're catching it. I'm catching where I am
Mhm.
feeling, stressed about money. I'm catching where I am projecting that on others. I'm catching where I'm feeling terrified to tell someone the cost to work with me. I'm noticing all of that. And all of a sudden there will be times as I catch and catch and catch again and notice and comfort myself and love myself and see myself walk myself through that process. I have had so many moments where a thing that would have triggered me before, it just doesn't. And I'm like,
Just
whoa,
loses
hold
its
on.
charge. Yeah.
Yeah. So the catch was like,
Guys.
I'm good. I did it. I healed that piece. Right. And so I've just experienced that. I wish I could think of like bring one to the surface at this moment to like give a more concrete
You're
example.
like, damn it, the pressure.
Right. It's
But
not
can I
coming up.
speak to that? Is I think
Yes.
people often, so when they start catching, I often hear from people, they're like, "Ah, but I'm not doing anything with it." I'm like, no, no, no. Realize that you are doing something because you are catching it. Like that is the first step. So it's not like, I just keep thinking it. It's like, no, no, no. But like you're aware of it now. And that it has such an enormous effect that we're not even aware of when we first start doing this work. We just think we're not moving forward because all we know is that we keep thinking the shit. But like, yes, you keep thinking it, and that's the first step. It's like you are in the process of it. It's not like I want to do this work. It's like, no, no, no. You are doing it. It is a present thing. Like you are in the process of it now. And so just know it gets better. Like
Yeah.
the better it gets, the better it gets. The more consistent you get, the more consistent you get. You know what I mean? The more aware you are, the more aware you are. And so that energy in itself or that practice in itself is an example of it working out. And I just want to like speak to when you were saying like all these years ago, I started healing. I wasn't smart. I just have to like really be honest with how long that has taken me. It's not like I healed it years ago and then I was fine. And I've been doing this, like speaking on power for years now. Absolutely not. I feel like I finally shed it at the end of last year. So
Mm.
it's the end of 2024 now. And I honestly believe that this has just finally healed for me within the last like less than 12 months. Like
Yeah.
I only started my Jill Stanton brand, like I'm less than 3 months in. You know what I mean? Like it took me so long to even understand, like, well, what would I teach? Like when I made the shift from Screw the 9 to 5, Millionaire Girls Club was my bridge, but it's not like I was teaching in that. I was being the connector.
Yeah.
I was being the like, with my 4 line in HD is like, that is the role I assumed for myself. And I even had one of my clients, she's a psychic. So of course she would say this to me. But she said to me, I know you love being the connector, but you're meant to be the coach. And I was like, nah, I don't think you know me. She's like, bitch, I'm psychic. I know all of you. But like, but truly, she was like, I just want you to know you are not meant to just be the connector. There's so much more for you. And I was like, this chick does not know what she's talking about. And when I finally messaged her that I was going to do my Jill Stanton brand, all she wrote back was, I told you so. Like it took me so long. She
Oh my
said that shit
gosh.
to me March 2023. And it took me until August 2024 to
Yeah.
finally like be like, I'm going to start teaching what I know and love and believe in. And I allow myself to be seen and I allow myself to be the expert in this. Like it took me a long ass time. And so when people are like, oh, it's not working yet, it's like, it really is an energy of patience, acceptance, and courage.
Yeah.
That is the gasoline to this work. But you thinking that it's not happening yet is going to slow this process way down.
Right. And I think as a coach, our one of not our only job, but one of our jobs is to help remind people
Yeah,
of how far they've come. And
absolutely.
I do it all the time. To, especially with people that I've been working with for, like 2, 3+ years, is to say, hey, remember when you wanted this and now it's here? Like, you're right.
It's so
You're
true.
right. I didn't even realize it. I'm like, I know, because I heard you, kind of going down the spiral again a little bit. Like, let's take a look. Let's really pay attention to where you were 3 years ago versus where you are now.
I was having this exact conversation yesterday. It's so funny you bring that up because I have a client who's been with me since 2022. And when she first came into our world, she was doing like her biggest profit launch was like $8,000. And she just closed her third launch this year of over 115,000 profit each time. And
Wow.
I said to her, and she was saying like, oh, I just thought it might be more because they were more. And I was like, I need you to remember less than 2 years ago. Like less than 2 years ago, you would have killed for your energetic minimum to be minimum 100K profit. Like that's a big damn deal. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so often that perspective can just give us, like, can snap us back into our momentum because you're like, oh, I am doing it. Like it is in motion. It
Yeah.
just often requires that like contemplation and that like reflection on, or like perspective, really, that hindsight to be like, wait a
Yeah.
second. I am an adorable little badass who's changing her life. You know what I mean? So
Yes.
I love that you do that with your clients as well, because I think it's so powerful.
Yeah, and it's grounding into sufficiency again.
Yes.
Grounding, like it's coming straight back to that, like, hey, let's ground with what's actually here. Let's look at what's actually here because this is the leap that you made. Can you imagine what that means for 2 years from now?
Yes. I even think that for myself. I literally said that to Josh. I was like, because I mean, I've only had the Jill Stanton brand since August. So like I don't have a lot of like intel to give you guys yet. But for everything that I've sold has exceeded my expectations or it's surpassed my goals. And I said to Josh, like, can you even imagine where we'll be with this in 2 years? 2 years ago, I never saw it coming. That 2 years ago, I'd run my first retreat for Millionaire Girls Club. And since then, I've run 12. You know what I
Wow.
mean? Like,
Yeah.
and since then, I've started a brand where I am actually coaching and teaching on shit that I believe in and love and do for myself. Like, I never would have seen that coming 2 years ago. I was just like, no. You know what I mean? Like, there was no possibility on the horizon for me that I was going to be in my own brand without Josh teaching on my own. Like I just never saw that coming. So like so much can change in
Yeah.
only 2 years. And we discount our power and our courage and our level of action and the magic that is available for us when we try to predict what might happen, because then we get into this catastrophic thinking where
Mhm.
we're like, it's like I either win or I'm living under a bridge.
Right.
We like ignored the gradient of life there. And
Right.
it's so when we're going after goals or we're setting goals, it's like I either make $100,000 in profit or I'm a failure. It's like there's so many other ways that could go. And so
Mhm.
allowing yourself the grace and the space to be like, I actually don't know what my life is going to look like in 2 years. But if I continue the trajectory that I'm on of this kind of work and this level of courage and action, only good things come from that. Only
Yeah.
good things come from you doing your work and moving from courage.
Yeah.
If you can anchor that value in your life or prioritize that value in your life, that virtue in your life, only good things come from moving with courage
Oh,
and
that's
embodying that and being that.
and it reminds me of what you said about wanting, choosing, and committing as
Yes.
well.
Yes.
Right? Absolutely.
Wanting and choosing ain't courageous. It's just
Committing.
like phoning it in.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my examples would be one, if you had told me 5 years ago when I was in such a dark place around my work, around, the company I was working with, everything that was going on, seriously, like I've told this story on the podcast before, but like driving to work every day, this was 2019 before everything shut down. Um, there was a left turn I would make every day and like wishing someone would T-bone me, like
Mm,
wanting to be done. Like
that's hard.
it was, yeah. And I knew it was not like my higher self was like, this is not who you are,
Yeah.
right? You have to get help. This is not who you are.
Mhm.
Um, and that was like the step. If you had told me in that moment what I am doing right now, the amount of revenue I create from three different businesses, the one like I was so like had all the desire to have a podcast back then. I was like, God, that would be so cool. If you had told me, yeah, in 2024, you're going to have 132 episodes under your belt and you're going to have a top 10% podcast on the globe, I would have been like, what the shit? Like, are you
Yeah.
kidding me?
Are you
Like,
high?
yeah, like how did that happen? That doesn't even make sense. There was no way that I could
Mm.
have imagined.
Don't you just love blowing your own mind?
It's one of my
Don't you just
favorite things to do.
love showing yourself what you're made of, though? Like, I honestly think, so I often think that to myself is like, anytime I'm moving through discomfort, which, like, if you're pushing an edge, let's just be real, you're going to face discomfort on the regular. It's
Yeah.
not bad. It's a good thing. And it's a sign of growth. But like, I often repeat to myself when I'm in those moments of just being like, why is it so hard? I'm just like, actually, I highly value being the type of chick who loves showing myself what I'm made of.
Mm,
Like, I fucking love showing myself what I'm made of. Like, I
mm,
love showing myself what I'm capable of. And when you can snap into that energy, it's like, well, let's go. Like LFG. You know what I mean? Because you're just like, actually, that's true. I do love showing myself what I'm capable of. And let's see how good it can get.
mm. Oh my gosh. Jill, we didn't even get to all the things we were going to talk
I
about.
know. We're
So,
like, we didn't even touch on human design. We didn't touch on any of this shit.
oh my God, we could clearly keep talking for another hour or two,
Like our
but
first conversation.
I know, right? Oh my gosh, so easy. You will have to come back and we'll have to talk more
Twist my
because,
arm.
right? Jill is a manifester in human design, which I
Hell
think
yeah.
manifestors are so cool. I'm a manifesting generator. There's so much more that we can talk about with how you claim your personal power, you
Mm,
how you move through the world differently. I think we've touched on a lot of that today, but there's so much more. So in that spirit, knowing that you'll be
cliffhanger.
back, right? I do want you to tell people where they can find you, where they can learn more, what you got going on with Jill Stanton brand.
Of course.
Yeah, where can people find you?
Yeah, the easiest way is to just connect with me on Instagram. So my IG is I am Jill Stanton. So that's the easiest place. And then I have, different audio series, different programs, all of that kind of stuff that dives into different elements of personal power, leadership, emotional intelligence, and identity. So there's an audio series called Unfazed. If you feel at the mercy of what other people might think or say about you, there's an audio series all around raising your standards. Like, I'm building a bank of personal power resources.
Mm,
So come in and look around.
love it. All of that will be linked in the show notes, so you can go follow Jill on Instagram. Jill, thank you so much for being here. That
Thank
was
you, Hannah.
such a pleasure, and I can't wait to
I
talk to you
always love
again.
our combos.
That's it for this episode. Thanks for listening, and be sure to like and subscribe. And again, if anything resonated with you from this episode, I would love to hear from you. Email me at Hannah, HANNAH, at expansiveceo.com and tell me about it. And if you're ready for your greatest expansion, you can find ways to work with me at expansiveceo.com and at x2wealthplanning.com. That's X, the numeral 2, wealthplanning.com. So until next time, remember that there is enough, you are enough, and your birthright in this lifetime is to be expansive.